Grazie.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here with you. Let me start telling this. Je ne suis pas la masse qui veut Paris. So let's go straight on the topic. As an ethicist and as a philosopher, I'm teaching at Political Science Luis University in Rome, why I think that technology should need something like ethics. Well, you know, if you look in a standard way how we saw technology, we can imagine that technology in itself, it's really ambiguous. Because we can have a clapstick, and a clapstick can be a tool to open much more coconut, or could be a weapon to open much more skull of enemies.
A bit more.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry.
But from late 80s, we simply realized in ethics of technology that there is a different perspective than we need to achieve. Every time that a technology simple is deployed inside a society, it works as a form of order and displacement of power. So imagine that you would like to deploy a railway. Where you put the track and where you put the stop, you are allowing someone to take the train, and you are denying to someone else to take the train. And so ethics of technology is simple, a questioning of technology that ping on the different stakeholders to allow the different stakeholders to participate to the public debate on the way in which such kind of technology will change the life of people. And now, if this is an ethics of technology, what does it mean to apply such kind of question to AI, to artificial intelligence? In which way AI could be a form of order and displacement of power? Well, to answer to this kind of question, we have to step back a little bit and recognize that there are a new set of tools that simply live in our everyday life. There are the digital tools. Such kind of digital tools could be called, let me use such kind of expression, as a software-defined reality. What is a software-defined reality? Well, let's see probably what is the symbol of such kind of transformation, that is the smartphone. You can buy a smartphone that is actually a square of glass, aluminum, and silicon, and you own the hardware. But what gives the function to such piece of hardware is not anymore what you bought. It's a software, and that software allows the smartphone to do a lot of different things, including make phone call. But you never own such piece of software. You just have a license on such piece of software. And so the new idea of having software-defined reality is changing our times. It's not just the smartphone. Try to think what does it mean to apply a software-defined reality to an EV, to an electric vehicle. Like, for example, a Tesla. You can buy the hardware, but you just have a license on the software. And if the software owner don't allow you to do something with the car, you can't. Or try to think to one of the new supermarkets in which the cashier system is not just something that is used to count how many money you have to pay, but it's a complex computer that is simple handling everything on the scaffold. If the software of such kind of store is broken, the nature of the place is changed forever. It's not anymore a store, it's a warehouse. Nothing can get out, nothing can get in. Or try to think to an hospital. What happens when a ransomware is attacking the hospital? You block the hospital. Nothing is never more possible to do inside such kind of space. So a software-defined reality is something that depends on functionality on the software. But because we don't own the software, three fundamental rights that come with ownership are forever modified. According to Roman rights, the source of the law that is also aiming to the European Union, when you own something, you have three fundamental rights: the right to use, the right to abuse, and the right to fruits. The right to use means that you can use something as you wish. If you own an horse, you can jump on the horse and go around. You can use the horse, for example, to work on the field. you can abuse it. Well, in Italian tradition, we are used to say you can transform it in a mortadella, that is a kind of food. But you can abuse it. And you can have the fructus. You can rent the horse to someone else and get the money. Well, but try to think what happened with a software-defined reality. Let's start from use. Can you use your software-defined reality as you wish? Can you use your smartphone as you wish? Well, if you own an Apple or if you own an Android, you know very well that the using is not depending on you. Try to transfer a file from a Macintosh computer to an Android device. It's simply impossible. Isn't it yours? You don't have the ownership of such kind of hardware? Yes, but you don't own the software. The abuse, well, you can broke it. Someone is happy because if you broke it, you have to buy it again. But what is absolutely subtracted to you is the fructus. There are no such thing as a digital economy. It's the fructus, the right to have the fruits of the using of your digital tools remain to the owners. They have moved to the company that simply are the middle layer inside such kind of software-defined reality. And now, in a world that is software-defined, we are changing the nature of software with AI. Artificial intelligence is changing dynamically what things can do or cannot do, and is moving the ownership to a centralized entity that is the owners of the cloud where such things are happening. But this is a really change of power. It's a new form of power. And if we transform democracy in a software-defined democracy, the owner of the software are the owner of democracy. So it's not just a matter of innovation with digital tools and digital means, but it's a matter to guarantee that the software is corresponding to the democratic constituency of the place that we would like to make as a software-defined place. No one is saying that such kind of innovation cannot become a source of development, but only if such kind of ownership is not breaking the nature of being a citizen, the nature of having some kind of rights that are connected to a software-defined reality. Well, there is another element that I simply would like to stress to you. Ukraine war probably showed to us what does it mean to have a software-defined weapon. You know, the state-of-the-art of a tank, the Abrams tank, the United States cutting-edge tank, it costs $300 million and takes 10 years to be developed and deployed on the field. €1,500 of a software-defined drones can defeat such kind of hardware component. But the problem is another one, that if you go on the front line of the battlefield, the software is uploaded on the drone, a new version of the software, every 7-10 minutes. And it makes of the drone a totally different weapon every time the software is updated. It's changing the nature of the weapon. And so we are used to regulate things that was not software-defined things. We was used to have a regulation for entity in the public space when the entity has a sort of solid conformation. Now that we can have something that can change the nature in itself with a silent software upgrade, how could we regulate such kind of entity inside the public space? So imagine that we start to buy electrical vehicle from China, and we distribute such kind of electrical vehicle in a public space. Well, with a silent software update, they can change their nature. They can devise spies device, or they can become something that can simply burn the battery to produce public disorder. In which way you can define and regulate the public space if the public space is simple made by object that can change their own nature in a moment with a software update? This is a really challenging between the power of regulation that political power has in a public space and this new nature of object that simply are escaping from the traditional way in which we are ruling things. So we know, for example, that if you go to an airport, you cannot bring with you a knife, because if you bring with you a knife, you are dangerous for yourself and for the other. But with a software-defined entity, it could be a tool or a weapon with a simple software upgrade. In which way we can regulate it if we don't have any control on the nature of software that we are putting inside our device? This is an urgency. This is what we need to establish under the democratic power to avoid that the winner of the market are also the winner of democracy, to avoid such kind of melting point. Well, but going more than that, AI is not only the new kind of software that can dynamically change the nature of our object. It's also something that it's really depending on a multi-layer level of technology that we are used to call stack. At the lower level, we have the chip. What is a microchip? A microchip is a transformative power that takes data and obtains information. But one chip is not enough. We need to collect together such kind of chip, and we produce something that we can define data center. A data center is a huge collection of such kind of transformative power that allow AI to exist in the public space. Over that, we have another layer, and it's the software or the model, AI model, that run on the top of the chip and give this power to the stack. At the end of the stack, we have the application. So every time that we use an application, there is a huge stack of elements that make such kind of application possible. And the political issues are for every level of such application. Just to be short and to give you some kind of coordinates, we have a really, really huge problem, for example now, with data center and public infrastructure. We have a social contract that tells to us that innovation is equal to benefits to everyone until yesterday, because we have, what we call infrastructure. We can live together in places that are also 1 million of people because we have a public infrastructure that we call water pipe. We can stay together because we have a public infrastructure that is the electrical power grid. We can stay together because we have a public infrastructure that is the communication infrastructure. Now, data centers are really high-consuming resource of public infrastructure. It knows very well the issues Ireland, in which the 20% of public energy is consumed by such kind of data center. And what is the problem? If such kind of tools, if such kind of entity are consuming the public nature of infrastructure, how we should understand such kind of entity? Are they new form of public infrastructure? Are they super user of public infrastructure? Which kind of priority? And if they consume the electrical power grid, the cost of electricity, the cost of kilowatt for hour, simple skyrocket. We know it very well in the United States, in which in some state, the electrical bill jumped to up 77%, according to the source, compared to the last year. And so this kind of cost go to the family that cannot simply afford, but is also an implicit tax to the industry. And if the industry has to cut more money for energy, they simply reduce the ability to stay in a global market with a lot of competition. And so the diffusion in the European Union of data centers that are not paying back taxes, that consume the public infrastructure, has to be understood and regulated to avoid a deindustrialization for the augmentation of the cost of the energy in the among the European countries. So this could be a different element that pinging on economy in an indirect form and make Europe less competitive according to the other continent. Well, at the end of this perspective, let me stress something that is the new phase of power. A constitutional state has this fundamental law that we call constitution, simple to balance among the different power inside the public space. The new phase of power is a computational power. The power that is connected to digital data, to the ability to transform information, and behavioral surplus, enforcing the behavior of people, is the new phase of power. And now such kind of computational power is not under any kind of constitutional power. And we have a lot of law that simply subtract by the power of the single state the control of what's happening inside the data center, especially because we are understanding data center in the form of cloud, in which there is not physical correlation between data and geographical location. So I'm sorry, I'm an ethicist. I have the huge privilege to make questions and run away before giving any kind of answer. But that is your duty, and we count on politicians that can take the issues and try to define a fence to allow the constitutional power to maintain the sovereignty on the challenge of our time. Thank you, and I wish you all the best for your condition.